Good morning. So on my last video we finished just across the road at Smithies. We're going to follow the route along the Fleets past Asda. We're going to hit what was called Barnsley Basin and then onto Twibell Street. Hope you enjoy the video. So as we follow the canal here, this path is the actual towpath. All the grass filled in. The grass, this is the actual canal that's been filled in, and this follows all the way to the back of Asda. Right, I'm now at the back of Asda, which in the days of the canal would have been the place for the paper mill. Just below is what is known as the Fleets, which is water that was used for the paper mill. Just at the side of Asda now, and I've come across this. On top of here there would have been a wheel. Barnsley Canal has several of these. The canal has them. There's some on Twibell Street, and I'll show why he had them. It's easier to explain on there. To my left is the canal, and on my right is the Keel Inn. So there's often pubs along canals and even rivers that are often named after something to do with the canal or river. At the side of me is McDonald's and Asda, which was the paper mill, and then in front of me would have been a bridge the canal went under to the Barnsley Basin, which we'll go to now. So I'm now at the back of B&M in the centre of Barnsley. Above me is the main road. That wouldn't have been there. This would have been a warehouse and several cranes. But at the back of B&M is the original canal wall, and as you can see, in several places the mooring rings are still in place, and there is quite a few of them. And that's the bridge from the side of what is now Asda would have come out at. Then there's another bridge that would have gone over there onto what is known locally as Twibell Street. So I'm now on Twibell Street, which is the other side from B&M, where the canal Barnsley Basin was. To my right hand side would have been red ferns. There were cranes on here for loading up the canal. I've heard stories of people finding marbles and glass bottles in the canal here. Not much evidence of the canal, but just a bit further down is where we really see the canal in water. I'm now on Twibell Street now. You might remember in my last video I mentioned about the council put an activity together for the unemployed to reclaim a bit of a stretch of the canal, and just here there's a plaque explaining it. There were 60 people involved between 81 and 1983. We're now on Twibell Street. The beginning bit is just full of reeds and weeds. In a minute we'll see where it's open water. Just an interesting fact. So on the right hand side is the canal, the left hand side is the towpath. When I do future videos you'll actually see the towpath switch between the left and right side. It's hard to work out where the switch was, and I don't understand the reason for it. So it now goes into full water. We're near the canal junction, which is the first lock. Somewhere on this stretch I've been told with some horse stables, which stands to reason. At the end of the day the towpaths were pulled. The canals are pulled by horses on the towpath, so they need somewhere to rest. And now we'll go down to where it joins with another canal, and there's a lock. So we're now at the junction, which was called the Barnsley Canal and Dearne and Dove Canal. So the Dearne and Dove Canal goes down that way. That's the Barnsley Canal, which then does a 90-degree turn onto what was the aqueduct. Earlier behind Asda I showed you one of these. There would have been metal ring on there, you can just see the evidence of it. On a later video up in Oz Woods, they do have the rings on, and the reason for it was that if a barge was coming around here, the rope to the horse would have caught on that wall and caused friction. But not only that, if there's somebody walking on the towpath, then they'd have been crushed beside it. Also, what we have here at this point is the remains of a house. Just in the middle there's a cellar. Up until a couple of years ago you could actually get in the cellar, but the council have now blocked it off. A lot of the people assume this is the lock house, but it isn't. Don't know what's happened with the focus there. There, we're back in. If you look in the group, there's plenty of pictures showing this. And looking at the timelines, this looks like it was demolished at the same time as the aqueduct. Now at the stop lock. So up there is the Barnsley Canal. Down there it now becomes the Dearne and Duff Canal coming out at Swinton. I'll do a video on that section later on, but for now I'm going to concentrate on the Barnsley Canal. And the lock keeper's inn, or house, was just behind these trees. Nothing to see there today. If you come in winter when there's no overgrowth, you can just work out the foundations and canal wall. Earlier this year, Barnsley Council dug some more of the lock out and put an example of what the lock gates would have looked like, which is upkeeping with the heritage of the area. In Barnsley, everyone knows it was famous for coal mines, making glass, making tins, and none of it would have been possible without the canal for transportation. So where the seats are would have been the centre of the canal. The canal would then have come across and gone over an aqueduct, and just look at how big it would have been. There's a long way to go down there. In fact, we'll video this just so you can appreciate how high it must have been. It was dismantled in the 1955 area because it suffered a lot of subsidence, and twice it collapsed and water flooded because of the subsidence, but yet they still had to blow it up to get rid of it. So as you can see, I'm making my way down. This bridge was put up in the 1980s to make it as a walkway, but that's obviously not the bottom of the aqueduct. It would have been absolutely massive. So I'm now on the footbridge across what would have been the old aqueduct. Just behind me you can see the top of it. So the aqueduct would have gone all the way across there. The only evidence of the aqueduct now is the footings. I think there's 2 or 3 of these across this section of the canal. So I'm now in Dearne Valley Park. Just in front of me is that footway I was on. This path was an old train line for the coal mine which went all the way up to Royston, and you can just see the footings there of the aqueduct. My next video will follow it up to Carlton. None of the canal is in water, it's filled up, but the towpath is still there and there's clear evidence of where the canal was.